You have come here to listen, not merely with your ears, but with the trembling strings of your inner being. For what we are about to explore does not belong solely to the realm of intellect, but to the deep corridors of the psyche where shadows walk, where light trembles, where suffering is not an obstacle, but a gate. I want to speak to you as though you were standing before me, each of you carrying within your heart the unspoken story of endurance, the secret pain of having borne another's darkness, the strange transformation that comes when an empath has walked through the labyrinth of the narcissist and emerged alive. Many of you imagine that survival is the end of the story. But survival is only the threshold for what remains after one has absorbed the poison, after one has been hollowed out by another's insatiable hunger, is not simply a broken vessel, but the possibility of a new form, a new archetype rising out of ashes. And so the question we must face together is, who does the empath become after this descent, after this crucifixion of the soul? To begin, we must acknowledge what it means to be an empath in the Jungian sense. Not merely someone who feels too much, not merely one with porous emotional skin, but one who has been chosen by the unconscious to serve as a vessel for projection, for transference, for the unspoken and unclaimed shadows of others. The empath is often born in an atmosphere of psychic imbalance. From the very beginning, as a child, they attune themselves to the moods of parents, to the vibrations of the household, to the unuttered anxieties that saturate the air. Their sensitivity is a survival strategy, a way to regulate chaos by becoming the mirror that reflects what others cannot face. And so, when the narcissist appears in their life, it is not by accident, it is the inevitable magnetism of archetypes drawing one another into a dance as old as time. The narcissist is the embodiment of shadow, denied, the mask that must consume others to maintain its fragile godlike image. And the empath, by nature, becomes the one who holds, who absorbs, who swallows what the narcissist refuses to admit. But here lies the crucible. To absorb the narcissist's darkness is no small matter. It is to take into one's own bloodstream a venom that was never yours. It is to feel guilt that was projected upon you, shame that did not belong to you, rage that was planted in your chest like an alien seed. This absorption can feel like death. The empath may lose their sense of identity, drowning in confusion, questioning their sanity, caught in the hall of mirrors, where the narcissist insists that reality is only what the mask proclaims. But I tell you, in that very dissolution, in that very breaking, something archetypal begins. It is a journey of the wounded healer, the shamanic descent into the underworld, the dismemberment of the ego, so that the soul may awaken to its deeper vocation. When you survive such an ordeal, you do not remain the same. The empath who survives the narcissist is not the empath who first entered the labyrinth. There has been a death and a rebirth. You have carried the shadow of another. You have wrestled with the poison. And if you have not been utterly consumed, then you have been transformed. The unconscious, which demanded this trial, has also prepared within you the possibility of metamorphosis. For what is survival if not alchemy? The lead of suffering, the mercury of confusion, the sulfur of rage, all fuse together in the psychic vessel until something new emerges. Gold. And so we ask again, who do you become? You become the one who knows darkness not as abstraction, but as intimacy. You become the one who no longer fears the abyss because you have dwelt in it. You become the one whose compassion is no longer naive, whose light is no longer unguarded, but whose soul carries the gravitas of one who has walked among devils and returned with eyes that see beyond masks. I want to illustrate this with a dream. Imagine a woman who dreams that she is in a great banquet hall. The tables are full of food, golden chalices overflowing with wine. But when she sits down to eat, the food turns to ashes in her mouth, and the wine becomes blood. She looks around and realizes that every guest at the table wears a mask, smiling, laughing, but behind the masks there are hollow sockets and gnashing teeth. Suddenly, she realizes she herself is wearing a mask. She rips it off and screams, but when she looks at her reflection in the chalice, she sees that her face has become luminous, scarred but radiant. She wakes trembling, knowing that she has glimpsed some terrible and beautiful truth. This dream is the psyche's way of revealing what it means to survive the banquet of the narcissist, to eat the ashes of illusion, to taste the bitterness of manipulation, to remove the mask and find that the face underneath, though scarred, shines with an authenticity that cannot be feigned. This transformation is not without cost. Let no one deceive you into thinking that emerging from the grip of the narcissist leaves you unscathed. There are wounds, and those wounds will ache. You may carry hypervigilance, distrust, the lingering echo of the narcissist's voice that whispers in the recesses of your mind. But those wounds are also inscriptions, symbols carved into your very being. They tell you that you have been through initiation, for survival is not the avoidance of pain. It is the ability to bear pain until its meaning begins to emerge. The empath who has survived becomes a keeper of knowledge, a carrier of shadow wisdom. You are no longer simply sensitive, you are wise. You know the scent of deception, you know the taste of false love. You can sense manipulation in the air, like smoke, long before the fire is visible. And this is no small gift. Though it was purchased at a price, you may ask, why must it be this way? Why must the empath suffer through the darkness of the narcissist in order to awaken? I answer, because the unconscious demands balance. The narcissist cannot carry their own shadow. They project it outward, and it must find a container. The empath, prepared from childhood to carry what is not theirs, becomes that container, but the unconscious does not leave them there. It brings them to a breaking point, to a crisis where the poison can no longer be endured. And at that moment, when everything collapses, When identity itself seems shattered, the psyche has the chance to reorganize on a deeper level. This is individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world demanded you to be. It is a perilous path, for many do not make it through intact, but those who do emerge with a clarity and strength unknown to those who have never wrestled with such darkness. There's a passage in the alchemical texts that speaks of the nigredo, the blackening. It is the stage where everything is dissolved, where the matter rots, where the light disappears. But it is precisely in this putrefaction that the seed of transformation is sown. The empath who has absorbed the narcissist's darkness enters their own nigredo. They feel destroyed, worthless, emptied. But if they endure, if they refuse to remain in the illusion, then from that black soil the white rose begins to bloom. And so, who does the empath become? They become the alchemist of their own suffering. They become the one who carries not only empathy but discernment. They become the one who no longer gives their soul away cheaply, for they know the cost of such sacrifice. They become, paradoxically, more whole. Now, listen carefully, for I must speak of the danger that remains. The empath, after surviving, may be tempted to harden their heart entirely, to close themselves off, to declare, "Never again will I feel, never again will I love, never again will I open." This is understandable. It is the psyche's way of protecting itself after devastation. But if this becomes permanent, then the alchemy is incomplete. To heal is not to become stone, it is to become gold. To become stone is merely another form of defense, another mask, and eventually the unconscious will tear it away. True survival means to reopen, but this time not as a lamb led to slaughter, but as a lion who knows its own strength. You will still feel deeply, but you will no longer be devoured by those feelings. You will still love, but you will not confuse love with sacrifice. You will still shine, but your light will not be for those who come only to drain it. This is the paradox of the empath who has survived. Your heart grows larger, but it is also sharper. You are both tender and fierce. Consider again the archetype of the wounded healer. The one who has been wounded in body or soul, and through that wound becomes capable of healing others. This does not mean you will seek out narcissists to save them. That is the old pattern, the trap of endless sacrifice. No, the healed empath heals simply by embodying authenticity, by carrying a light that is no longer naive. You become a mirror in which others see their own possibilities. You may guide, you may comfort, you may teach, but you will not allow yourself to be consumed. In this way, the narcissist has paradoxically served your individuation. Their darkness forced you into the depths where you discovered your true strength. It is a brutal gift, but a gift nonetheless. And so I say to you, if you have absorbed the narcissist's darkness and survived, you are no longer merely empath. You are something beyond. You are one who has died and been reborn, one who has carried another's shadow and returned it to the abyss, one who has seen behind the mask and refused to become a mask yourself. You are not defined by what was done to you. You are defined by what you have become through it, and what you have become is nothing less than the soul awakened to its own archetypal power. When we speak of becoming after survival, we must also speak of integration, for it is not enough to escape the labyrinth. One must carry out the treasure hidden in its depths. The empath who survives the narcissist stands at a crossroads. Either they repress what happened, burying it deep in their unconscious, where it festers, or they confront it with courage, allowing it to shape them into something greater. Integration requires a facing of the shadow, not the narcissist shadow only, but your own. For what was it in you that allowed the narcissist to enter, to feed, to remain? Was it love? Was it fear of abandonment? Was it the secret hunger to feel indispensable, to be the savior? These must be acknowledged, for if they are denied, the cycle repeats itself. This is not condemnation, but illumination. To bring these motives into the light is not to shame yourself, but to liberate yourself. You see, the empath's greatest danger is not only the narcissist without, but the unconscious narcissist within, the part that thrives on sacrifice because it grants a sense of importance, the part that longs to be chosen, even at the cost of the soul. When this is seen, when it is admitted, then the transformation is complete, for you no longer serve as an unconscious participant in the drama, but as a conscious actor who chooses differently. Think of the myth of Persephone, abducted into the underworld by Hades. She eats the pomegranate seeds, and therefore she cannot return to the world above unchanged. She belongs partly to the dark realm, partly to the light. So too with the empath who has eaten of the narcissist fruit. You can never return to innocence. And that is not a loss, but a sacred initiation. You will always carry with you the memory of the underworld, the knowledge of manipulation, the taste of ashes in your mouth. But this does not mean you are bound to despair. On the contrary, like Persephone, you become a mediator between worlds. You can descend into the darkness of another without losing yourself, and you can ascend into the light with greater depth. You are no longer naive about evil, but neither are you consumed by it. This balance is the mark of maturity, the sign of individuation. Let me give you another image. Imagine a man who dreams. He is walking through a dense forest at night. He carries a lantern, but the light flickers and barely illuminates the ground before him. He hears voices whispering among the trees, accusing him, mocking him, drawing him deeper into confusion. Suddenly, he stumbles into a clearing, and there in the center is a mirror standing upright. He approaches and sees his reflection, but the reflection is wearing chains. He touches the mirror, and the chains dissolve, but the reflection's eyes burn with fire. He awakens with a pounding heart, knowing he has encountered a part of himself he never wished to see. This dream, like the ordeal of surviving the narcissist, reveals the necessity of facing both bondage and freedom, both weakness and strength. The empath who has been bound by chains of guilt and self-doubt finds, in the act of survival, the possibility of fire in their own eyes, a fierceness that was hidden beneath the surface. The mirror shows both captivity and liberation. Which will you choose to embody? Now, we must pause here and reflect on what it means to carry darkness without being defined by it. The narcissist's poison does not simply vanish when the relationship ends. It lingers. Like smoke in the lungs, there may be moments when you hear their voice echoing in your mind, accusing you, belittling you, insisting that you were never enough. These echoes are not a sign of failure. They are the remnants of internalized projection. The task is not to silence them by force, but to confront them with the authority of your own awakened self. When the echo says, "You are worthless," you answer, "I have survived. Therefore I am more than you ever saw." When the echo says, "You will never be loved," you answer, "I have learned to love myself. Therefore I no longer hunger for your counterfeit affection." This dialogue within is the continuation of individuation. You are reclaiming the territory of your soul piece by piece, word by word, until the inner landscape no longer belongs to the ghost of the narcissist, but to you. Do not be deceived, however, into believing this process is swift. The unconscious does not move at the pace of the ego's impatience. Healing comes in waves, sometimes gently, sometimes like a storm that drags you back into despair just when you thought you were free. But even in those storms, remember, you are not who you were. You may feel the old pain, but you are no longer the same vessel. You have been cracked open, and through those cracks, light has entered. You are wiser now, more discerning, less willing to abandon yourself for the sake of another's illusions. And this, I say again, is no small victory. For the narcissist thrives only where illusions are maintained. The moment you refuse the illusion, their power over you collapses. You become untouchable, not because you are invulnerable, but because you are awake. What then is the destiny of the empath who has survived? It is not merely to live free of narcissists. That is too small a goal. Your destiny is to become a bearer of light forged in darkness, to embody a depth of compassion that does not confuse itself with martyrdom, to walk among others as a reminder that suffering, when faced, can become transformation. You are a symbol living among symbols. Others who are still trapped will recognize something in you. Though they may not understand it, they will feel your presence as both comfort and challenge. Comfort, because you understand their pain without judgment. Challenge, because your very being exposes their illusions. This is the paradoxical role of the survivor, to carry within you both balm and sword, to heal and to divide, to reveal the truth simply, By existing as one who has seen and endured, let us consider the archetype of the phoenix rising from ashes. This image has become so common that its power risks being dulled. Yet if you meditate on it deeply, you see that it is no mere metaphor. The empath's old self truly burns away in the fire of the narcissist's darkness. What is reduced to ashes is the identity that once believed love must always mean giving without limit. That once confused empathy with self-annihilation, out of those ashes rises a being who knows their worth, who carries fire in their wings, who can fly above manipulation rather than sink beneath it. But unlike the mythic phoenix, this rebirth is not solitary. It carries within it a mission. You are reborn not only for yourself, but for the collective. The unconscious of humanity demands witnesses, and you become such a witness. You testify, even without words, that survival is possible, that darkness can be endured, that the soul can be remade. You may notice that after such a transformation, your very perception of reality shifts. What once seemed solid now appears as mask and archetype. You see more clearly the games people play, the personas they wear, the projections they cast. You may at times feel alienated, for once you have seen behind the curtain, it is difficult to forget. Yet this alienation is also a gift. It detaches you from illusions that once bound you. You are no longer so easily seduced by flattery, nor deceived by charisma, nor trapped by guilt. You stand outside the collective hypnosis. This can be lonely, yes, but it is also the beginning of true freedom. For freedom is not the absence of bonds only, it is the presence of awareness. I must emphasize again, do not despise what you have endured. For though it was cruel, though it nearly destroyed you, it has also awakened in you capacities that could not have been born otherwise. The narcissist, in their relentless hunger, served as the blacksmith's hammer against the metal of your soul. It hurt, it scarred, but it also shaped you. Now you are a vessel not of fragility but of strength. Your empathy has not died, it has deepened. You feel still, but you feel with eyes open. You love still, but you love with discernment. You give still, but you no longer confuse giving with disappearing. This is the alchemy of survival. There will be moments, I know, when you mourn the self you once were. You may miss the innocence, the unguarded openness, the purity of trust, but innocence is not the highest good. Wholeness is not pure light, but the union of light and shadow. The empath who has survived carries both within them. They are no longer angel nor victim. They are a whole human being, fierce and tender, luminous and scarred. They walk the earth as living paradox, and in this paradox lies the secret of true individuation. So I say to you now, you are not merely survivors, you are initiates. You have passed through a trial that stripped you bare, and what remains is not less than before, but more. Do not diminish yourself by saying, I am broken. Rather, say, I have been remade. Do not cling to bitterness, though bitterness is tempting, for it will calcify your wound into stone. Instead, hold your wound as sacred, as the place where the divine entered you, for it is in our wounds, not our perfections, that the soul reveals its true face. And you, empath, who has survived, carry that revelation within you. When the empath rises from the ashes of survival, there comes a strange silence. It is the silence after the storm, when the thunder has ceased, when the rain has stopped, and the earth still trembles with the memory of violence. Many mistake this silence for emptiness, for numbness, but it is not emptiness. It is the psyche resetting, preparing itself for a new orientation. In that silence, you may feel lost, stripped of the old identity that once found meaning in giving, in rescuing, in being the vessel of another's unspoken need. You may ask yourself, who am I now? If not the one who saves, if not the one who suffers.